Well, as you know, I've most recently become a closed-minded Satanist.
Oh yes, so you have. Yes, I've always thought. To be fair, I've always thought that about you. You are really a closed-minded Satanist. Yes.
Yes, but atheists don't believe in the devil either. So she's got me completely wrong there.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business in Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show.
You're on, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Was that what it was, that noise? A hoover? It sounded like something underwater.
No, it was a hoover.
Oh, dear.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, well, it was quite a noise.
It was here, I'm so sorry.
Yes, it was vile.
I thought at least if I put it on, you'll know I'm here.
It was vile and quite scary.
Oh, my God. Such a funny week. How's things your end, then?
Yes, they're good. Yeah, they're very good. I've got lots of facts and figures for you. I've got a little rant to start off with, but why don't you go first?
Marvellous. Well, as you know, I've most recently become a closed-minded Satanist.
Oh, yes, so you have, yes. I've always thought, to be fair, I've always thought that about you. You are really a closed-minded Satanist, yes.
Yes, but, atheists don't believe in the devil either, so she's got me completely wrong there. It's like turning up at someone's... Right, someone came, just for the benefit of our lovely listeners, somebody turned up at my website last night and started haranguing me about my personal beliefs because she said that she'd found me up until that point very inspirational, but now she knows that I'm an atheist, confirmed, dyed in the wool. She's not so inspired, and she started going on about it all. And I thought I really shouldn't get into this because, as our mutual friend Chris Barrow used to say, you shouldn't wrestle with pigs and shit because the pig always wins and absolutely loves it. It's just one of those conversations, politics and religion. You just can't go there. But I could not help myself.
I wonder why she thought it was even something that it was appropriate to ask about.
It's like turning up at someone's front door, isn't it? And ringing. You put your finger on it. It's like
it's like the online equivalent of the Jehovah's Witness. Yeah. You don't engage in conversation with them, whatever your beliefs are. Yeah. Because they ask you these open questions where you could be there all day. I
know, and I did direct it to Stephen Fry, and then she came back and said, "You're basing your arguments on Stephen Fry," and I didn't want to get into a conversation about Stephen Fry, so I just said, "Look, this isn't going to go anywhere. Let's just leave it," and she just wouldn't leave it. So then she started to say to me that I was closed-minded and that I should not make any decisions based on no evidence. So at that point, I lost the plot and sent her off to bring evidence back to me that God does exist, and then we can have another conversation. But I won't, obviously.
What a strange, unique. Nobody's ever had that experience. Do you think people are Jehovah witnessing online?
I don't know what they're doing. It's really quite fascinating. I mean, I think she's read my The Science of Getting Rich Online, which I rewrote, and I do talk a lot about the synchronicity, synchronicity and Professor Cox and how, I don't believe, and actually how liberating it is not to have any beliefs because it makes you, reliant 100% on yourself. So that was the point I was trying to get across, and she just wasn't having any of it. So she called me a closed-minded Satanist. It was very funny. But at the same time, Judith, I was trying to get a transcription done for a deaf person who wanted to join my webinar. I couldn't because she wouldn't be able to hear it. So I was feeling a little misunderstood by this point. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that is totally the action of a closed-minded Satanist.
Of course, yes, and I really must keep it up.
We can, by the way, hear all of the noises the cleaning lady is making in the background.
Yes.
Can we shut a door on her?
No, we can't. I'm afraid. No. It's I organised this very poorly because obviously I can't. The language barrier is immense, if not impenetrable. Okay. But she has been quiet.
So we need to do. Perhaps you and she can learn the word for Wednesday or Friday.
Yeah. No, I do have an interpreter, but
okay.
Yeah, but we just have to put up with the clatterings and the batterings in the background today, I'm afraid.
So, anything else about your week alongside you being a closed-minded Satanist?
No, not really. I've spent a whole. I mean, it's been absolutely unbelievably hot here for a couple of days, and I spent the whole of yesterday locked in with the air conditioning on because I had to re-record my Be Everywhere online presentation that I did for Neil. He wanted it to play to those of his Aussie entrepreneurs who weren't able to make the live event. And I just kept doing it. And I don't know whether the computer was overheating or something, but I did it 3 times, getting to the end each time before I realised that it wasn't actually recording, which was heartbreaking because you have to really put quite a lot of heart and soul into these recordings to make them sound even half, not boring. And it's a bit like you have to perform it, in fact. Yes. And but then, so on the 4th attempt, I thought, well, I'm not going to risk that again. I'm just going to do it in 10-minute chunks. So I did it 10 minutes at a time, and I don't think it was any the worse for it. So at least I knew I was able to save each part, as I was going. Yeah. But then I thought, okay, well, I'm going to use that as my my Ever webinar now. So I've swapped it over, and because I do believe it was a much better presentation, and I'm waiting to see what my Facebook traffic makes of that. Okay. So it's been quite a busy week, interspersed with lying on sunbeds a lot.
Very nice.
And zipping into the sea across some very hot sand.
Yes.
What about you then?
Oh, well, I have a little rant to begin this week's
episode
with. I had the temerity to buy a domain name in GoDaddy, and I do have half a dozen in GoDaddy, but I've cut my domain names right down to essentials only, and consequently it's been a while since I bought a domain name, and it's quite difficult in GoDaddy, indeed all of the domain name places, to get out of there with only buying the domain name. There's GoDaddy's got quite an efficient upsell process where, do you want this as well? No thanks. Do you want this as well? No thanks. Do you want this as well? No thanks. You have to go through several screens where you say you don't want to buy, you don't want to pay extra money for things. But nevertheless, I made a boo-boo, and I have been back into GoDaddy since to see how I could have made that boo-boo. And I've seen that I have both sorts of domain names in amongst my 6, I think I've got, where half of them are private and half of them are not private. And on this occasion, I decided I wouldn't pay, I'm not quite sure why, the $4.99 per year to keep who owns this new website I formed private. Consequently, within 24 hours of Wednesday the 5th of July, I received 35 emails until I stopped counting, and 74 telephone calls from 5 different numbers, all of which are blocked now, from people trying to sell me search engine optimization, website design, logos and things for my new purchase.
Yeah, it's a bit shocking, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's never happened to me before. So that's why I went back in and went, surely I've got ones where I haven't gone private before. I've never been bombarded like this before. And not just that, but where people use your contact forms to try and sell you all sorts of nonsense. I'm getting more of that than I've ever got before. And I'm wondering whether it isn't a 2017 sign that people all over the world are desperate for income or work opportunities, paid work opportunities. Really, they've tried very hard to persuade me that millions of different people, that I need their services.
This is so interesting because I never, ever, ever get any of this. I don't get phone calls. I don't get, I've
never had phone calls before.
Yeah, and I don't get contact form, anything. Don't get like that.
It's weird. Well, your experience and mine of the web is completely different, actually, because there's frequently we go, there's wonderful things I get on Facebook, you don't, and vice versa. I think, but this is a first on the URL. I mean, you and I have been making URLs for 20 years. This is a first. I've never had a single phone call ever before, because in GoDaddy, my telephone number is published on the 2 or 3. That I'm not private. Nobody's ever used that before. This is a first.
Yeah, very bizarre. Can't explain that at all.
No. I think it's a sign of the times.
Possibly. What was this domain name more businessy than your normal ones?
No. Quite the opposite, I would say. Oh. I mean, one of my ones is thecleaningbiz.com.
Yes.
For instance. Well, that couldn't be more businessy than that. This one is Judith.coach. I don't think that is spectacularly businesslike.
No, that's very unbusinesslike, in fact.
Quite.
Oh, well, there you go. It'll have to be one of life's mysteries, that one, won't it?
Well, it is one of life's mysteries, but it was a bombardment, which an interesting bombardment. I mean, it's easy for me to ignore emails and block telephone numbers. I mean, actually, I didn't receive any of the telephone calls because they came into my Skype-in number but when I opened up Skype on Saturday morning, I've had 74 telephone calls.
74, Jesus.
From 5 numbers. So they were multiply dialing me from 5 different numbers.
Oh, my God.
I know.
I've never managed to block a number in my life. So I suppose on Skype it'll be easy, won't it?
Skype-in, it's easy, just right click. Yeah.
So anything else this week?
No, not in this section.
Okay.
But plenty in the other sections.
Good.
That's my rant.
Okay, that's fair enough. Right, fueled your fire then.
Yeah, I've got 2 of these.
Go on, then.
I'll do the easy one first. Overnight, one of our listeners, Kathleen from New Zealand, hello Kathleen, who I gave one of my Entrepreneur of the Day sessions to, she's turned me into a meme. She's picked up something I've said on the podcast and turned it into a meme and sent me a little private message. Says, "Oh look, you're quotable."
That's very exciting.
That is quite fun. But actually, that's not my main one. My main one is this woman that is the subject of this week's newsletter, because she gave me one of the best testimonials ever. And I was able to tell anonymously the story of what we discussed, which I think is a good learning, well, 2 good learning points, actually. But the thing that fueled my fire about this woman is she is indicative of the thing I put in our group yesterday, the new way I'm getting business. She asked me in June if she could become my friend on Facebook. She discovered me via Facebook, that's all she could tell me. And she's already had a session. So, you know, she found me via Facebook without me spending any money there. She didn't know about our podcast, even though she is Greek and has shared some photographs of Stupa. But she did know about you, and therefore she thought I might be your sister when I referred to our podcast. So she knows about the podcast you've had with Sarah, but she doesn't know about our 140 episode major achievement. But do you see how random that is? She's become a client without following any normal process to me.
Yeah, that really is fascinating. And I don't know if you're going to mention it at all, but the other things you said on Facebook along with that story were equally fascinating. Yes, all fascinating, aren't they? No, I'm not going to say that today because I've got quite a lot of packed info in here today. But yeah, marketing's changing, and all I'm doing for now is observing it. Yeah, absolutely, and I do totally agree with you that marketing's changing. It's getting much. I mean, you know, my web traffic has it feels like it's dropped dramatically, but it hasn't. I'm still getting 50 to 60 visitors a day, but none of them do anything. They just hang out on the website and they don't opt in or do anything that I can discern. It's really quite amazing. Yeah, I think people, well, I don't know, what do we call them? What came after millennials? There's a word for people that came after millennials. People these days don't seem to know what to do with a website. No, they don't. They've gone even more back to being brochure sites than they ever were. Yeah, exactly. Whereas all the action happened on the website for a long time, didn't it? Yeah. Very odd. I know what you mean, though. So I've been setting up systems because tell me if I told you this last week, because I'm struggling a little bit. We're working so a week in advance on everything now. So I've been organised within an inch of my life, and it means that I'm a little bit disorientated about where I am in my life, and who I've told what. So it's a bit complicated. So did I tell you last week that we've got things set up so that I literally just do the video recordings? You might have told us that in a different way. You didn't say it like that. Yeah. Exactly. Well, basically, we're thinking of offering a done-for-you social media service. Yeah. And so, in order to do that, we had to get me out of the loop on my own system because I was the bottleneck. So we have been setting up systems, and I literally do video record to the point where Sarah said to me, "You're a week ahead of yourself now." So I'm. Phoebe's editing 25, which goes out next week. I've already uploaded the content for 26, and I could go to 27 because I've actually just recorded an extra bit today, and I'm getting too ahead of myself essentially.
Right.
So I'm a bit lost, and Sarah had to give me a little chit chat, chinwag about where we were on the episodes and everything, because she's worried I'm going to get ahead of myself and be talking about things that have happened 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Now your episodes are only 10, 15 minutes long, aren't they?
Yes. So
you could watch them. You could watch them to remind yourself what you've said, what you've told people before.
Yeah, but it's more about when they're coming out that I'm struggling with. I know what I've said and what I said in them if I see the title, but it's just knowing, when they're coming out. So the thing it has done though is freed up lots of time to think about everything. So I basically don't. I'm got to this place. You'll be pleased because I'm actually having quite a lot of leisure time. And when you said freed up time to think, I went, oh, how nice to myself. Well, exactly. And even better, I freed up time to think while lying on a sunbed and dipping in and out of the sea, which is extremely pleasant. And the other thing I did was yesterday, I couldn't be bothered to walk to the village. So, and I had the aircon on, my house was all cool. So I thought, oh, what can I watch on telly? I didn't fancy a film, so I got stuck into a few back episodes of Dexter. And I've never watched that before, but it was just doing leisure stuff without feeling guilty, which was a really strange sensation for me. So that's fueled my fire dangerously because I'm starting to think, oh, what else could I do? Yeah. Well, no, that's not the point, is it? To fill the hole with, No, exactly. I realise that. So I am resisting. But so having leisure time and time to think is fueling my fire. Oh, so you're having your business and you're having your life. Yeah, yes, which is all very odd, but I'm working on it.
Would you like to showcase your business, product or service to highly engaged solopreneurs and business owners every week? We can offer a 30-second mid-roll slot and sponsorship branding on our website and in our private Facebook group. Just contact Nicola at nicolacairncross.com for more details.
Okay, so I've got this new client, and she has got a very successful psychotherapist husband who has written a book, which is rather good. But she's come to me and said, our issue is that the vast majority of clients to our private psychology practice do not want to be identified, obviously. That is, people who are experiencing depression, grief, anxiety, relationship issues do not want to be seen online by others. This makes it difficult to create a community. This limits us a bit. We're trying to leverage our time by somehow going from the one-on-one counselling sessions to one-to-many opportunities. Not sure yet what this looks like, other than Nicola has helped us identify a way to build our audience through our blog, videos, Facebook page, etc. This is something we're actively working on, but need to find ways to monetize our business through non-face-to-face clients in the future to release us from tying our money to our time. The other significant issue is that our governing body in Australia do not allow us to use testimonials to promote our business, even unsolicited ones. Let me know if you think this issue might be of interest to others. Thank you, Sue. Let's just call her Sue. I don't know if that's a real name. I do think this is of interest to others, actually. And let's start with the easiest bit, the thing about the governing body not allowing them to use testimonials. Well, that's the end of that then, isn't it? We can't use testimonials, get over it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think in coaching, people are not mad keen for me to use their testimonials, to be honest, although it's, it doesn't signify that they're having relationship issues or whatever. I think people are quite sensitive, or very sensitive, and with good cause when it comes to discussing issues that are close to their heart. So I don't find it massively easy to get testimonials either, Sue. It seems to be much easier to get a testimonial when it's a business-related thing, because people are having a business coach is seen more of a sign of. It used to be seen as a sign. I am a business coach, but no, they're not. It isn't easy, even as a business coach, to get testimonials. It's not. The one I'm using this week with this woman, who, funnily enough, has a lot in common with Sue, was unsolicited. She just sent it. So she's just a person who knows how to issue a good testimonial. But I don't find it easy to get them. I feel like I'm always seeing testimonials from your clients. Well,
When they come, I use them, but they don't. Yeah. They're not. If I've got 50 clients, I've probably only got 5 testimonials. It isn't easy. I've collected a few over the years, but I think if we're in a business where that's not especially easy, then we should just give up at it and then go at it another way.
Yeah. So the good news is that he's got a book, so they can start recording.
Yeah, let's go back to the beginning. Do you mind? Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. Let's go back to the beginning. It's very similar to the one the other day where the lady couldn't persuade her existing clients to move over to her new model. If this couple are wanting to move from one-to-one to one-to-many, I think they've got to start their community from new people who have not been treated one-to-one. Because actually the availability of counselling-based information in a community where people might or might not have read his book, and before they're ready necessarily to sign up to one-to-one, could work for the sort of people in the world who are snooping around their work and may never intend to become a one-to-one client. I think you're absolutely right, Sue, that once a client's one-to-one, particularly in counselling, nobody wants that public. So I don't think they can convert their existing. I think their chances to create something new, a new way of people accessing their wisdom. And so you phase out the old while you're creating the new. Don't expect to convert the old into the new. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants it. It's like when they change Sage or Facebook. Don't do that. Our life is as it is. Nobody wants to change. But if something new comes along, like, oh, I've read his book, he's great, I'll join his community and suck up his free information, and possibly one day I might become a one-to-one client, or I might buy some other experience from them. I think you can do that. I don't think you can convert people.
No, I totally agree. And yes, coming at it fresh will force them to think about it fresh. So yeah, he can demonstrate by sharing his book in segments. He can get people to know, like, and trusted by using video, and then you can get people into a mailing list stroke community where actually, people, once they're in a community, they often open up quite dramatically, don't they? And once they realise that their problems are shared with other people.
Do you know what the book's about, Nicola?
No, I don't off the top of my head, no.
Okay, all right.
So yes, start afresh with a new community. You're starting to mop now.
Well, because you've got different people. What it made me think was this: that there are 8 billion people in the world, or something, aren't there? And the dozen or so that he's seeing one-to-one at the moment don't want to go public, and neither would I. But some of the others might want to access his wisdom in a different way, which is by being in a community around the topic of his book.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no reason why you can't create sort of lessons as such, which people can access anonymously. And the other thing is, if you have a certain kind of community, obviously not a Facebook community, you can encourage people to choose pseudonyms. So people don't need to know people's actual names and real identities, do they?
No, that's right. I'm going to read out what I typed back to you when you sent this to me, if I may. Their clients want privacy not to be identified in the group. It's a stonking challenge, I've said. I'm not sure I have answers, but it reminds me of somebody in the front row of the first audience you ever got me to speak to at Gatwick in March 2005, just after my mother died. The woman asked me how the E-Myth principles can be applied to coaching, and I told her that irony of ironies, they do not, and that I became a coach precisely so that I could be with people in a healing way. Presumably they became psychologists for the same reason, in which case they'd be better off doing what I attempted to do and use the other lanes of the wealth highway to create wealth so that they can afford to do what they love. And if they no longer want to be psychologists, then time to get out. Meanwhile, use it as the day job to pay the bills, to create savings for investments. And then I said, how old are they and what else do you know about them? And you said that you think they're part of the entrepreneurs community, don't you?
Yes, they definitely are. So they are investigating other ways.
Yeah, they're already doing other stuff on the side. I don't think psychology lends itself to one-to-many, with the exception that a psychotherapist I spoke to this week is a syndicated columnist and a talk show host. So there are other ways of leveraging it. and
speaking opportunities as well. Speaking to people.
And the book. But the essential nature of psychology is that two people sit in a room and talk secretly about something, and long may it continue for those that want it.
Yeah, the other thing is there is an entrepreneur psychologist, isn't there, in America? I'm just. Yes, here he is. It's Peter Shallard, the Shrink for Entrepreneurs. So,
and I wonder if he has a community where people have outed themselves.
I definitely think they should go and take a look at this. It's petershallard.com and see how Peter's doing it, because he started out as a psychotherapist or a psychiatrist, and now he is definitely building a whole internet empire around it, which all the book, the community and everything like that, it feeds the speaking engagements, which are obviously paid. We're not talking about speaking from the stage here, to sell. We're talking about people who get paid vast sums of money to go and do keynote presentations and things, so to corporates. So that could be something really good. Hello, are you there?
Yes, I am here. I don't think there's a way around this. I think that psychology, by its very nature, is one-to-one in a private room. I think you can leverage the book into, depending on what it's about,
a program, definitely.
Well, I have clients, for instance, who are eating psychologists, and they have Facebook groups where people are out about their disorders.
Yeah, so specific groups about specific disorders that this chap specialises in, perhaps.
Yes.
And people do get immense amounts of support and satisfaction from being in a community of people who've got the same issues.
I definitely would try to leverage the book. It's a shame we don't know what it's about, but I think the answer is in the main, and I'm pleased to hear they're one of Neil's students. But I don't think this business model works for counselling.
No, and the other point that we haven't mentioned is that if he's that busy, he should be putting his prices up, shouldn't he? So, you don't have, if you're that popular and well thought of and passed around and referred between people privately, then
they're not saying he doesn't charge enough. They're saying, like you always used to say, that it's restrictive of their time if you've got one-to-one sessions in your diary. And I'm exactly the opposite, which is I only want to do that, and I relish that, and I love that. And I think that's why I became a coach. It always strikes me as very odd that coaches do this thing where they go, I've got to make online programs, so I can't be with my clients. Well, why are you a coach then? I do understand what they're saying. It is restrictive, but I think if the very fact that they're one of Neil's students means they're exploring things that they can do alongside, and I think that's probably the only / best way, because I don't think you can leverage counselling.
Okay, so that's pretty good. I think we've got lots of stuff for them there for Sue and her husband to think about. And,
I would like to know. Maybe they could join our Facebook group. I'd love to know what's the book about, and does he want to speak from the stage? Do either of them want to be paid to make talks? Be nice to know a bit more about this. Come and join our Facebook group.
Yeah. Well, that's an open invitation to everyone. Come and join our Facebook group. Just search Own It, the podcast. There's a page and a group. So like the page and join the group, and there's no charge, obviously. And we can discuss these things a lot further and help you specifically within the privacy of the group.
And I think be nice to know. If it's not one to many in counselling, what could it be one to many in? Is there something adjacent to his expertise, their expertise?
Yeah. Cool. Okay, that's us done on the client challenge of the week then, with all the bucket wielding going on in the background. Sorry about that, everyone.
Yes, I'm just going to recap slightly there. I know I'm repeating myself, but I think it's other ways to make money alongside and use the income from the quote-unquote day job until such time as they don't need it anymore.
And consider whether the content of the book can be turned into a programme.
I do think the book is something that could be leveraged. Yeah,
because I definitely know that Peter Shallard has got a book. So it's if you are an accomplished public speaker, or if you'd like to do keynote speaking, a book is the real door opener for you.
And tell you what I like about Peter Shallard's rather strange old-fashioned website.
Yes, it's very old-fashioned, isn't it?
It is, but his strapline in this context is perfect because he calls himself the shrink for entrepreneurs. So you're only going to draw somebody into that community who's out about being an entrepreneur and wanting a shrink or thinking a shrink has value to them.
Yes.
So they self-select from his strapline, which is, if I'm going to join his community, does he offer a community? How it works, Nicola? What's that one there?
I was going to go become a client.
I think we become a client. Is he trying to create? We don't know what he's trying to create. Whether he's trying to create one-to-one clients. Yeah.
He provides you with psychological tools, tactical insights, and introspective understanding. You're not crazy, but you couldn't have come. Basically, all entrepreneurs get to a point where they think, I can go further if I can slay my own demons.
I think that's a very good expression there for our couple in Australia. You're not crazy. If you keep reinforcing that, then there's no reason why people should hide their identity necessarily.
That's right. He does phone and email consults. Now, see, email consults are interesting, aren't they? Because they're not time dependent. You could do quite a few people with email consultations.
It's still time for money, then, isn't it?
Yeah. Could I test your services on something small before signing up for a larger package? Yes, there's a Clarity Couch consult.
He seems to be all about one-to-ones.
He does, yeah, he does. But I imagine he charges...
And he's talking, yes, he is, $750 to $2,399, it says.
What was that? Well, pricing, did you see it?
Yeah, it's right in the middle of the page you're on.
Okay, good. So he's really, because he's niching, he's able to charge so much more, isn't he?
He's got 3 different packages. He's packaged up. I don't think he's just chat. He's information as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. Psychological tools and strategies, he says.
Yes.
I missed the pricing. Where
it's
is
in the middle somewhere. It's in the middle.
Here we are. Found it.
There you go.
Found it.
Yeah.
Okay, so depending on the results you want to achieve, you can expect to invest between $750 to $2,399 for 1 month of professionally held space and strategies. So there you go. So as you become a specialist, you put your price up. And
actually, if Sue's husband has got 10 clients paying $2,399 a month, I don't think we've got a problem here.
No, we haven't. Well, you don't know. They get quite ambitious in that Aussie entrepreneurs circle with all their Amazon stores. 20,000 a month starts to look like chicken feed to this lot, I tell you. Oh, good. Okay, well, that's great. And so we'd love to pursue this conversation because it is a good one. Thank you very much for sending it in. Right, word of the week then, Judith.
You go first.
Responsibility. Now, we've probably had this before, but I'm getting to the point where I can't remember now. And it was that conversation with that woman that sparked off my thoughts about it again, because it just made me remember how liberated I felt when I realised that there was nobody coming to save me. There was nobody, and nobody out there that was going to wave a magic wand. And the best thing is that you always have this sort of little niggling thing going on. If you put power outside yourself, then you have this niggling feeling that there's a secret key that someone isn't telling you, or that you don't know, or that you can't find. Whereas if you take all the responsibility inside yourself for your results, then you start to feel so much more empowered and less like you need to keep searching for this secret key. And it's something I could bang on about endlessly, and I probably will.
I think there is one difference with your. That's why I asked if she was American. There are a lot of Americans who have a very serious faith, and I don't think they would agree with what you've just said. But it doesn't make them a nutter or anything like that, and they do see it as teamwork.
Teamwork.
Well, them and God.
Right. I'm totally not equipped to continue.
No. That's why I was asking if she's American. It's different if you're American, because
they've been indoctrinated since childhood.
No, they have a very strong faith. You must stop using such judgmental language.
Well, excuse me, closed-minded Satanist, that's fairly judgmental, isn't it?
Well, yes, but there's only to retaliate, is it?
No, I suppose not. Yeah, you're absolutely right. What's your word of the week then?
Well, I was playing the Let's Get Out the Thesaurus name game strapline thing with a client last weekend, and I discovered a word which I knew about before, but we both went, oh, that's nice. Moxie, M-O-X-I-E. It dates from the 1800s, and it means force of character, determination, and nerve. And in 1876, the Americans invented a family of soft drinks called Moxie, and it came in cherry cola flavour, cream soda, orange cream, and root beer, all of which sound absolutely disgusting to me. But I think the word Moxie is fantastic.
Yes, I just remembered I should have shared that word aura. Aura. Okay, I'm reading this great book.
Yes, aura. It's 2 words, isn't it, with a hyphen in the middle.
Yeah, it is, and it's like it's a great book actually. It's called Steel Kisses or something, and it's about the Internet of Things. How this serial killer starts taking over your oven and your microwave and your car and your escalators and your all sorts of things that have smart technology in them. So from my point of view, it's very interesting because, you know, you either think of the Internet of Things as being something that's going to cause immense convenience for everyone in 20 years' time, or if you read one of these books, it put the wind right up you. Yeah. But some of the language, I mean, it's a very well-written book. I'm not querying the quality of the writing at all, but I do keep coming across words that it's set in Brooklyn, so they're using the Brooklyn colloquialisms quite a lot, which is causing a lot of atmosphere in the book, but it's also causing me to stop a few times and say, hang on a minute, haven't they left a few words out there? But this aura was how was it used now? It was a contraction. The apostrophe was to denote a missing letter, and they were basically saying or are. And actually, if you read it out loud, as Joe Dodd said, it makes perfect sense. It did make sense, didn't it? Yeah. So I'll have to make some notes of the other ones, because there was 2 others I thought I must tell Judith that. I mean, there's lots of things that we say, that sentence in which they use it. We would use that even in England, but because that's how it sounds. It's written in that book how it sounds. We'd write it down differently, but it would sound like that when we were saying it. Yeah, that's very true. It's only a matter of time before it ends up in the Oxford English Dictionary. Well, I don't think he was making it a word. I think he was showing you that an apostrophe is used to denote a contraction in speech. Yeah. So very quickly, project updates. I've got quite a bit of here this week, because last week you inserted something else in here. Oh, go on then. What did you insert in here last week? One of my own project updates. I think you put in there something about entering a competition. I'm not sure. But, yes, you did tell me between sessions that June was our best download month since January on our combined project. And then I'm going to tell you about my book project. But tell me, is there anything else you want to tell us about the podcast? No, just that the 3-month trend is firmly up again. So it's all positive news. Could I go back to see your more normal screen? Yes, you know why. I'll also mute myself while you talk now, because it's getting a bit noisy. I like to manage the time. Okay, so a little bit of facts and figures on my book project, which is I've dummied up a cover, which is I've shared. I really need you there, Nicola. I can't do it without you. I'm here. Yes. Now I need you to be making type noises. Oh, okay. I was just about to go. Ooh, dummy book cover. Marvelous. Exactly. Yes, I dummied up a book cover, which was useful because I've got it on my screensaver to encourage me, desktop, and it was well received when I put it in one of my groups and on my Facebook page. And just having people go, when can I get one, was really nice. Yeah. I'm 79% through my Scrivener training, which is 86 out of 109 modules, and I did another 8 of them this morning while waiting for you, because I was up a bit early. I've started writing a bit because I couldn't help myself, and that's good. And towards the end of the Scrivener training, there's a couple of things I've seen in the menu. The second to last one is called Cherries on Top, and the last one is called Bonus for Bloggers. I can't wait to get there. So it's quite motivating me to get through the dreary bits. I listened to
8 bits about manipulating images this morning. That was really very dull.
Gosh.
But I'm getting a good overview of what it can do. And there was even a bit yesterday in Writer's Helps that I could have used yesterday. So it's not as dull as it sounds, but I'm making good progress. I'm happy.
Yeah, because I tried to learn it by watching the videos, and I'm a visual kinesthetic learner. So I start having to read or watch something, and then as soon as I get enthused, I have to actually go and try and do it. So watching an entire tuition course through 100 odd modules just isn't a possibility for me, which is a shame.
I'm doing that to get an overview of the whole thing. Otherwise, it's like eating a chocolate bar that you don't know when it'll end. Actually, it's a bad example because that wouldn't be a bad thing. But I have to have a sense of the scope first, and then I'm going to go back and do it chunk by chunk, and it'll be easier on the second run through because I'll know which bits are interesting and which bits are not interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And getting I'll have to go have a look at your page. I can't understand why I haven't seen that mock-up of the cover. But it's great that you've got to the point where just by taking some actions, you've now got to the point where you can't stop yourself writing.
Well, I don't think as I've always said, the writing's going to be the easy bit. It's all the rest of it that's not very easy, really. The formatting for different formats and the putting the images in of different DPIs for different sorts of books and things like that. It's quite those bits will slow me down quite considerably, but I know how to do it.
Okay, that's cool, because you're going to be going on to CreateSpace, aren't you? Or are you going to look
I'm going to go onto all the formats. This is I'm leaving no stone unturned. Right,
but you do know that if you start with CreateSpace, it facilitates everything else.
Well, I know in Scrivener, it gives you it in a different format, one for CreateSpace and one for everything else, so that it's.
I'm a bit vague about when you say everything else. What do you mean particularly?
Oh, I haven't got the list here now, but book, no, all those things, those different places.
All right, okay. Places I've never heard of. Yes.
No, you have. I just can't remember what they're called. I'll look at when I'm next in that. That you do know what they're called. We all know what they're called.
I'm really looking forward to reading your book. So you gave me a bit more background on the other day, and you're right. I had read it in your newsletter, but it hadn't sunk in. But when I read your description of it, I got very keen to read it indeed. And I think it's going to be a fairly unique among business books. So I'm excited.
Oh, I'm quite excited actually, because I think it's going to lend itself to volume 2, volume 3, volume 4. It's going to be chicken soup for the soul, because all the questions are renewing all of the time they come in. They update. The questions update themselves. A bit like that millennial thing I said to you earlier. The way people are using websites is a sign that people are different in 2017 than they were in 2000.
Yeah,
and therefore I'll be able to publish this book annually.
Yeah. And they want things in small chunks, so it's going to lend itself to that kind of dipping in and dipping out.
Yeah, and some of the chunks are going to be very small, because there isn't a lot to say about some things. In fact, my bestest, oldest school friend said on Facebook yesterday, "I can't wait to read this." This is my friend Leslie that invented Jenga. And I said, "Look, you're very loyal, but there's nothing in this book for you, because you and I are both from the school of let's crack on. These are psychological questions of people who can't crack on because, they're procrastinating over opening a business bank account."
I got a challenge through today just from a chap who thought he was just too old. He was seeking reassurance that at 63, the thing he was passionate about is largely sort of 20 to 40-year-olds. He was worrying that nobody would listen to his recommendations. And I said, well, A, if you're interested in it, there's got to be other 60-odd-year-olds interested in it. And B, what makes you think that people won't listen to a 63-year-old? It's just.
I totally agree, and I don't think age has got anything to do with it. Get him to think of his age as wisdom, and actually people do want that. One of the questions that I was answering yesterday just for fun was one of 5 sent in by a woman who is absolutely a top bird, and one of her questions was, who am I to be? I mean, oh, for heaven's sake, this woman is that. I totally get that question. That sort of modesty. It's all hopeless. Oh, dribble, dribble. Look at me. But the reality is, in every possible sense, that she's a mother and a wife and a writer and a creative and useful online and talented artistically, and that honestly, that psychologists in Australia and New Zealand should be dealing with that. It's a massive. I know that thought never occurred to me in 1977. Who am I to be starting up my own accounting business?
Yeah.
I don't think it occurred to me in 2002. Who am I to be setting up my coaching business? I just cracked on. But I understand this question totally, because it doesn't just come from one person. It comes from every woman, every man. People are big, whatever the word is, laid low by insecurities.
Yeah, what is the word?
Be something. Bedeviled.
Oh, yeah. That's a good word, considering the Satan connection of this week.
Yes, indeed. Anything else on the project updates thing?
No, we're moving on to who or what's impressed now.
Right. Okay. I really struggled with this one. I really struggled with this one this week. Have you got one?
I have. I have been looking for someone to help me with Xero. My friend came up to try and help me, but it turned out that the things I needed to do were a little more complex than she was able to handle. And funnily enough, she wanted to move her website from Wix to WordPress, and I thought that would be an easy job, and it turned out to be more than I could handle. So we had a rather frustrating afternoon all round. But I went back to, I sent off the best Xero people online, especially for multi-currency and the kind of online business I've got, are beanninjas.com. And I know Meryl, who founded Bean Ninjas, because I'm in several high-level mastermind groups with her. And I wanted to use Bean Ninjas, but they've obviously been so successful, their prices have gone up beyond the point where it's practical for me to use them right now, in the fact that I don't have that many transactions. So it just wouldn't have been appropriate. But I do need help setting up my Xero so that when I am ready to go to Bean Ninjas, it's set up properly. So I did send off an email asking about, do they do setup packages just sort of for future clients? And I got a stock email back from someone saying, not normally, but, if you book into the diary, we can talk about it. And the only diary appointment was, because they're Australian firm, the only diary appointment was 6 a.m. in the morning. And I'm not about to get up at 6 a.m. to talk to anyone, no matter how much I want to, because I'm just not good at that time in the morning. So then I thought, okay, well, they've had their chance. So now I'm going to put a thing in the group saying, I'd really like to use Bean Ninjas, but I'm not their ideal client because I'm not ready to go to recurring billing. And my transaction number isn't high enough yet. But so I'm looking for recommendations to Xero people who can help me get set up properly. And I got 3 or 4 referrals to people who are in the UK and use Xero. And then someone had obviously passed on my request to Meryl, who came into the group herself and spent quite a bit of time saying, we do actually do this as a service, where obviously it's really been poorly communicated on our website, because if Nicola couldn't find it and didn't understand that we can help her like this, then we are doing a bad job of our marketing. So she did a very good job of educating everyone that she does do this service, and that, it is affordable and it is available. And that it wasn't me being, it was just very nicely communicated, while giving me the opportunity to book into a diary. And if I can't find a time I like, then they'll make a special effort to find someone who can talk to me in my time zone. So it was a very good marketing effort on Meryl's part, and made me feel very well looked after, even though
Go Meryl, that's good. Yeah. I have got 2 actually. I've got a serious one which is short, and a funnier one which is longer. I know you're not as much of a tennis fan as I am, but Andy Murray got knocked out of Wimbledon yesterday, which was disappointing.
Oh no!
Well, he's poorly. No excuse. He was beaten by a man who was a very nice man and excellent on the day, but Andy's poorly. But immediately afterwards, as is their wont, they interview the winner and then the loser. And Andy Murray is upset because he's lost, and in pain because he's got a hip injury. And the interviewer said to him something about, this is the first American. He was beaten by an American. This was the first American since such and such. And actually what the interviewer meant, and the interviewers make this error over and over again, and Andy Murray is always the first to correct them. What he meant was he's the first American man, completely overlooking the American woman. Again. And Andy is a feminist. So he says that American man, and the interviewer went, I beg your pardon? He said, first American man. You know, what about Venus and Serena and all the other brilliant American women? And he does it endlessly. And he is just naturally, I don't know whether it's because of his mother, Judy, who, as we know, is quite a feisty piece, but, you know, he's a feminist. And lucky wife, lucky daughter, lucky female tennis colleagues and companions, that there is a man there who, even in pain and disappointment, is remembering important principles.
Yeah, good for him. I really like that.
Yeah, now I'll tell you my funny one, shall I?
Go on,
I've done my serious preaching one. I was going to say, before Andy lost, the baddies on Poldark. Did you see episode 5?
I love
They
Poldark.
are the evil George Warleggan and the unctuous Reverend Whitworth. No wonder actors say they want to play the baddies. They've got fantastic parts and they play them with relish. And both actors actually are quite handsome men, but in the programme they look repellent because they're just going about. George Warleggan is just evil, isn't he? And the Reverend that's trying to get Morwenna to marry him, he's just a slime ball. But you know, if you can distract yourself from how well their acting sucks you into their ghastly personalities, and you can sit there in admiration for how they are relishing the acting opportunities.
And can I just say, in fact, funny enough, I've just had a message from Meryl replying. Can I just say, hang on a second, just wait for that. Can I just say how marvellously you wrote a review of the 5th episode of Poldark without giving anything away, while simultaneously scintillating for those of us who haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I thought I did rather well. Actually, I think I just shared the fabulous thing from the from the Guardian that says there is much daring do in this episode.
Oh yes, there was lots of daring do. It was daring do. It's really, now it's able, I presume it's departing from the books now. The storylines are getting much, much better.
No, it's not departing from the books. Winston Graham wrote gazillions of Poldark novels across multiple generations. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's amazing. We got a lot more to look forward to then. That's
I don't know whether they'll do it all into the telly, but if you go to Wikipedia and look up the Poldark novels, you will see that they do cover decades and decades and decades of all the characters, all the ages and all the generations.
Marvellous. And on that note, I must leave you. It's been a challenge, but I'll make sure it doesn't happen again. So thank you to our lovely listeners for putting up with all the background noise. And the cicadas are really...
If you can make an episode out of this, Nicola, you're a better woman than I am going to be.
Well, I'll do my best. Okay,
all right.
Bye. Speak soon. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.